Let's
Hey,
see what the people say.
yeah,
Yeah.
the people. Welcome to another edition of Buck What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Buck What You Heard. And artist extraordinary, Shooty Shoots. I'm joined by him today. Uh, where are you at the bathroom? Are you at Amalie Arena?
I was just in the bathroom washing my hands, and I hope you will respect that. I know that you're a little bit of a Germanophobe, so I cleaned these puppies up and just wanted to make sure I can give you a virtual high five.
That's right. High five, brother. High five. Hey, what's going on, Frank G? Frank G is in the chat. This is kind of an interesting show. I was gonna have a guest on tonight, but he was having technical
Oh,
difficulties, and so I enlisted the assistance of Shooty Shoots to come in here and talk with me for a little bit and make sure that everything is working. Um, Everything seems to be working. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Antoine Cates, am I the only one that's hearing about the Tom Brady thing? Antoine, I will be talking about that. Me at Shooty Shoots, who originally came on as Tom Brady. I thought it was Tom Brady just based on his voice, but I realized that it was Shooty Shoots after a few minutes. So, um, very very interesting conversation that I hope to have with him. He's the man you love to hate. That's Shooty Shoots. So.
well, I got a bone to pick with you, buddy.
Oh, and
The
about
first
kickers.
thing,
Oh, and about kickers.
well, the kickers, but you mentioned that you had a real guest ready to come on the show, and what am I? Just some sort of like 2D bitch for you, huh? Like what's that all about? No respect, no respect from this guy. I got one thing for you,
No,
one
I know
bird
that.
right here. Actually, no, no. You know what? We're going double barrel for you. Double barrel. It's Wednesday night. It's hump day. Everybody stick up their middle finger at the computer screen and wave it around like you just don't care.
There we go. So, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this offseason? This offseason has been crazy. To me, the offseason has been worse than politics. I mean, for me personally.
Yeah, well, I can't wait for it to be over. And guess what? It's probably going to get extended longer because we're going to have no draft. We're going to have no, mini camps. None of that stuff. It's all gone. Coronavirus taking it all out. NBA's over. NFL's next. And
What about
yeah,
the
this sucks.
NHL? I mean, are we looking at the NHL in the same way? Is the NHL next on the list?
Yeah, NHL's next. But you know what? Mr. Steven Stamkos is injured, and this is going to help the Lightning because he's going to give him a little extra time to get back. So
Yeah.
I like it. I'm happy. I'm happy right now. We should cancel the NHL for like a month.
Yeah, see what we're doing. Will the Brewer, I am drinking Cigar City Florida Cracker. And I love it. It's good. It's especially good with orange, which I ate all the oranges. So I'm kind of out of oranges. But that's what I was. I just finished that one up. And, again, Cigar City, ever since Shooty Shoots, I want to thank you when I was there in November. You got me the tour of Cigar City. If you guys get a chance to, right behind Home Depot off of Spruce, go in there and check it out. I love them. I love what they do. I mean, I love them so much. I even have the Cigar City. I have the Cigar City flag, which if there is a draft, I plan to be taking Cigar City with me.
That's it. You can't complain with that. You can't complain with that.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I will say I was pretty busy before you called me for this, and let me just grab this. You can't just take away from my Xbox time, okay? I got my Xbox time here. This was supposed to be Wednesday night, Xbox.
I thought it was Tuesday.
I was building. Wait a minute. You're right. No, wait. That's that. Well, I transitioned to Wednesdays because Tuesdays I was too easy eating tacos, and then it's tough to stream and play video games when you got the shits all night, and you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. It's so these things happen. Yeah.
Anyway, I was playing Xbox. I got my new franchise with the Bucks. And guess what? I let Jameis walk. Jameis walk.
Did you bring Tom Brady into the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or
no? He was not available. You know who was?
Who was available?
Teddy Bridgewater. Yeah, He was available, free agent, just like he is now. And guess what?
You picked him up.
Yeah, and guess what?
You're winning.
MVP, MVP, MVP. Bucks win the Super Bowl, wins the MVP. End of story. Game over.
Okay. So that's an interesting argument that you have here when you're talking about a Teddy Bridgewater. Let me ask you this, and just be open and honest with me here. Teddy Bridgewater has not had a 16-game season since, 2017? Now, I want to ask you this. I mean, he played 5 games, sample size. I'm trying to remember how many games he had the year before, but he hasn't had a 16-game season. So are you comfortable? Would you be comfortable bringing somebody in that you don't have 16 games of game film since a catastrophic injury that you can really base your opinion on? And I'm just putting this out there. Again, as you guys know, I'm indifferent. Whoever the quarterback is for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I'm going to support him either way it goes. But I do want to hear from you and just your thoughts on that. Put your GM hat on. Do you have a GM hat that you can put on? Or maybe a Buccaneers helmet?
Yeah, I got this helmet, and I got this jersey that I'm going to have to get rid of pretty soon.
Okay.
Because it's the wrong jersey and it's the wrong number, unless Teddy's number 3 when he comes here. I don't know what number Teddy Bridgewater is.
Okay, so now you're a GM. You have your GM helmet on. What are you doing? What are you? And you talked about Madden a little bit. Let me ask you this: what are you doing to improve this team, considering all the holes from free agency and just people that you may want to upgrade from? How are you fixing this team?
The first thing I'm going to do is try to figure out how we can get those defensive players back. I'm talking about Shaq Barrett, franchise leading sack master. Now, you can't let that guy go, right? That's number 1. That is number 1, okay? So, whoa. We get some weird stuff going on with that. So number 2 would be to see what we can do about the running back situation. I think we got to get another running back in here, and I think we got to do that through the draft. And then I think we need to try to pick up some offensive linemen in the draft as well. So I think we just need to re-sign our own guys, and maybe we can convince Josh McCown to come back and play quarterback. Somebody's got to play quarterback. I don't know. Is it going to be Jameis?
You might as well throw in Trent Dilfer or Vinny Testaverde if you want to. Chris Chandler or Steve DeBerg. Throw in all these guys if you're talking that. But just kind of getting back to your point here. So, in your opinion, do you think there's anybody out as far as the running back position, which I've been really keeping my eye on? I love Ronald Jones. I think what Ronald Jones has done to improve what his skill set is from rookie season to the next year was great, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do this year. But as we've seen, the NFL is a copycat league. And, it's good to have that running back by committee. It's good to have a couple of running backs that you can switch out and have a change of pace back, or somebody that's more of a bruiser that will run in between the tackles and that kind of thing. So as you're looking at free agency, because free agency is what you want to look at prior to looking at the draft, is there anybody that you could think of that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers may want to consider when it comes to the when it comes to free agency as far as running back?
I don't know about free agents, but I think David Johnson might become available or possible trade. I would like to get some sort of veteran in the house and playing with Rojo. What's better than one okay running back? 2 okay running backs. It's the only thing better than 1 if you have 2, because guess what? Eventually, one guy gets tired, has to grab some Gatorade, maybe take a breather, and you let the other guy do his thing. So if we can get a vet, that's what I want. I want a veteran running back. I also want to draft a running back too.
Really?
Yeah, I want both. And then I also want a veteran defensive back. I saw a lot of people talking about Tony Jefferson. I don't know. He played for Bruce Arians before, So that's good, but I don't know. He got a pretty serious injury last year, and he's kind of up there in age. But they need a veteran,
yeah.
no matter
Well,
what. On
well,
that
I mean, and you know, you talk about drafting a running back. Would you be concerned with Bruce Arians? I wouldn't say so much Bruce Arians, but would you be concerned with the general manager picking another running back after the uh, draft picks that we've seen at running back that have come through Tampa? Does this bother you in any way? Do you think that they can actually get this right this time?
No, I don't think Jason Light's picking the draft picks anymore. Do you?
Well, after McMuffin came in here and everybody talked about, this guy was going to be replacing Doug Martin and all this other stuff. I saw that on Twitter. I probably should have screenshotted that, but it didn't. But there were people that were actually believing that this guy's going to come in and he's this good, and I don't even know if he's playing football anymore. So. I just was, trying to get your thoughts. Do you think that there's somebody out there? Is there that Dalvin Cook player out there that you can't go wrong drafting him, whether it's the end of the first round or going into the second round, where the Bucs have that compensatory fourth round pick that they could potentially use to move up back into a certain round, first or second round in the draft, to really make some moves. Is there that kind of player out there that you've seen?
I don't think so. I mean, who are you going to get? The Bucs aren't going to use a first round pick for a running back.
Oh, of course not. So, I wouldn't. At least I would not think so. I don't. With Jason Light, nothing's off the table as far as I'm concerned. And realistically, he drafts when he picks draft picks. He's like he has tunnel vision, and this is his what he wants to do, and that normally is how he does this. I think with the emergence of a Bruce Arians, I think Bruce Arians has a little bit more input as far as what Jason Light is doing. But we've seen in the past how the drafting in the running back position has gone. So just wanting to get your thoughts on that.
Well, you know what I say. You know what I say about BA. Is BA's got pizzazz, now
is this
pizzazz?
Is this cynical or is this?
No, he's got pizzazz, man. He's got pizzazz. So when we start drafting players, they're gonna have pizzazz.
Yeah.
Hey, and do you not want a running back with pizzazz? You know what they say? The only thing better than one running back with pizzazz is two running backs with pizzazz. Hey, and Rojo, he's got a little pizzazz, right?
You know what? I really wish that the Bucs would have committed more to the run. I think he had like 175 touches all season, which, to be honest, is not, for a running back. I guess that's okay. But, I would have liked to have seen him get more touches and get more involved in the games. But you can see that everything was more geared for the pass, and that's kind of what they did. I want to jump back into the chat because I've been like, we've been talking. Antoine Cates was talking about Tom Brady. And personally, you're renting Tom Brady for 2 years. If Tom Brady comes here, you're renting Tom Brady for 2 years. This is where you would have the opportunity to draft a quarterback and have him sit and get him ready for when Tom Brady's finally gone, if that is the case. Would you be okay with that?
Yeah, I think the Bucs will definitely draft a quarterback this year. It's not going to be in the first round. It's probably not going to be in the second round, but I could see him drafting one on that day 2, maybe beginning of day 3, just to get someone that can play backup. I don't know, and it depends what they do, right? Like, why Jameis Winston could be back here for 1 year with the franchise tag. I could definitely see that happening. And if that's the case, then look for the Bucs to definitely draft a quarterback. And in that case, I could see them maybe stretching to draft a quarterback as low as the second round.
Yeah. And somebody was mentioning Clutch Sports. Clutch, what's going on? He said, I'm okay with us grabbing Swift, Love, or Hurts as far as quarterbacks go.
And those are running backs. Well,
I'm sorry, Jalen Hurts is a
Yeah, he's a running back quarterback. He's a
Yeah.
running quarterback. That'd be an interesting one because I don't know what he's projected to go at, but you could see him possibly slide to like maybe the fourth or fifth round. I would imagine, right?
You know, after and this is just me. I've kind of taken a step back, and I'm trying to look at the whole draft, the draft as a whole. You look at players like the quarterback for the Ravens or the quarterback for the Texans, and you look at, or even the quarterback for the Cardinals. These were guys. Well, he's the quarterback for the Cardinals is special. He's a guy that I said he's going to be good coming out of college, and I mean his skill set would actually put him in the NFL and put his team in a position to be better. So and he's 100% shown that, just based on what he's done. Um, some of these other quarterbacks weren't rated. What are you doing? Why are you moving around while I'm talking? You're confusing
Because
me. Oh,
am I too close to my webcam, Gene?
oh no, you're fine. You're fine.
Does
I
it,
just
does
yeah.
does it make you feel uncomfortable?
No, you're fine. You're good. No,
Okay,
but
it's your show. It's your show.
yeah.
It's your show. If you want me to back up a little bit, I can back up.
But just getting back to the quarterback,
Yeah, quarterbacks. Quarterbacks.
getting back to the quarterbacks here. Um, a lot of these guys were picked to go lower than what they were, and they have a skill set that has really put them in a position to make their teams competitive. I mean, you look at Deshaun Watson, and they really, basically when you look at his tape, you looked at his tape coming out of college. I mean, this guy should have been drafted higher than he was, and a lot of teams missed on him, and the Texans ended up getting him, and it kind of worked out in their favor. The Bucs are in a very unique position because of all the quarterbacks that are out there that are available. That if you decide to go away from Jameis Winston, you can't get the contract signed. There are other quarterbacks out there that you could go with. So for all we
There's
know, and again, we don't know what's going on inside of one Buck place. Jameis and the Bucks may have already gotten the deal done, and we just don't know it. So, you just kind of have to sit back and wait and see what happened.
Yeah, and everyone thinks that I'm not a huge Jameis fan, and I'm just not right now because I'm tired of the interceptions.
I understand.
But you got to take a look at, as the team has said, basically what's behind door number two. You can't this When do you remember seeing this many quarterbacks out there available in free agency? I know we're not there yet.
This is historical. You haven't seen this many quarterbacks that have come out and are available. In free agency, you don't see it. 9 times out of 10, your team is locking that quarterback up. I mean, I look at the Titans. Ryan Tannehill right now would be available, as well as Marcus Mariota. You've got a Andy Dalton that's available. Rivers is available. Um, I mean, even Tom Brady, as we've talked about before, is available. Uh, the fact that Jameis Winston, according to everything that's going on with negotiations, Jameis Winston hasn't signed. So, I mean, there are so many quarterbacks out there, and there are so many teams that are in need of a good quarterback. So, yeah, this is totally this is historic. We've never seen anything like this, as far as the quarterback position is concerned.
So you don't jump into things. You don't jump into bed with the first girl you meet at the bar, Gene. You gotta you gotta scope things out. First of all, you've been seeing this girl for 5 years, and she's been breaking your heart for 5 years too. So what's the rush to re-sign her? Let's see if there's any other guys out there that are suckers too, because
Well,
you
and,
know
and shooty shoots. Let me say this: when you're an organization and you have the level of talent that they have on this team, you've got a Mike Evans, a Chris Godwin, you've got a OJ Howard, Cameron Brate, and they've got a lot of weapons on offense. Yeah, I think as a professional football organization, you have to look at all options, prior to jumping into what you're about to do. And again, they may decide, hey, Jameis is the answer. They may decide, you know what, that was year one in this offense. Let's see what he can do year two. I mean, there's just a lot of things that can happen here. But ultimately, as fans, as a fan base, I think our ultimate thought process should be getting into the playoffs. Because for me, I'm really sick of talking about the draft after the season's over. I would rather be talking about, who are we playing in the playoffs. I would love to see the Bucks win some games, go deep into the playoffs. That's the goal that you want, and those are my expectations for this year.
That's my expectation for every year.
Yeah.
But we seem to be okay with losing a lot of games every year
Yeah.
and talking about the draft
Yeah,
in
and again,
November.
you just kind of want to get away from that. Mr. Goldfish, I love that name, Mr. Goldfish. How's it going? Question for what do you think on Jameis? Me personally, I go back and forth on this. Michael Clayton, I don't know. You remember Michael Clayton from his days as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer? He brought up some really interesting comments about the wide receiver position and the route running, and just some of the things that we've seen, uh, as Bucks fans. And again, I know you talk about the 30 interceptions, and to me, that's an anomaly. I mean, Jameis has never even come close to 30 interceptions. So
Almost nobody has.
yeah, and it's just one of those things. Is that an anomaly? And you bring him back, and you cut that down in half. Why are you like all? I can't even see your face now. What are you?
My webcam got distorted.
Oh, really?
There we go. There we go. Here, I know this bothers you. I'll back up.
Yeah. Now I don't see you at all. I just see your eyes.
Isn't that
Yeah.
what part do you want to see? You don't want to see
There
the
you go.
midsection.
Hey, we're good.
You don't want to
We're
see the midsection, do
hey,
you?
we're good right here. Right here.
Let's keep the eyes on eyes, all right? Let's keep the eyes
Yeah.
up here, okay?
Yeah.
Can I just say something to Mr. Goldfish real
Yeah,
quick?
absolutely.
I actually speak fish. I have a fish tank, and we communicate.
Yeah. No. So getting back to Jameis Winston, me personally, I would be good with Jameis Winston coming back, but I would understand if the Bucks moved on. I'll put it that way. I want to see what Jameis Winston can do year two in a new system, but that's just me. Um, the fact that he put up those kind of numbers, and I still believe that even the 5,000 yards and the 30 interceptions are both anomalies. I think those are things that'll kind of come back into balance this year. So that's just my opinion on it. There's a couple of things I know with the knee injury and I know with the thumb injury, and I'm not making excuses, but I would just like to see a healthy Jameis Winston and see what he's capable of doing. And I'm going through the chat here, guys. I'm getting ready to get to you guys in the chat right now. So I know Willie Horace. Willie. We talked a little bit about Tom Brady. I personally don't see it happening. Tom Brady coming to Tampa 2 years, and you're renting a quarterback for 2 years, and you don't know what you have behind him. So with Tom Brady, I don't believe it. It could happen, but I'm of the mindset that it won't happen. Clutch Sports really don't want Teddy Bridgewater, to be honest. There's a really interesting article that was written by the New Orleans Saints writer Bob Rose, and if you're following me on Twitter, I'll retweet that article. But it's really interesting. As far as Teddy Bridgewater goes, you almost again you don't really know what you have. He played 5 games. He won 5 games. Played 5 games. Won 5 games with the Saints. But to be honest, that's just a sample size of what you could potentially have with him. And you just don't know. He hasn't played a full season since that catastrophic injury. So again, we don't know what he's really capable of doing just based on the sample size that we've seen from him. So I get both sides of that argument too. With Teddy Bridgewater, he was if you've been following me from the beginning, you know that Bridgewater was actually the guy that I wanted the Bucks to draft, and it just never came to fruition. So I just move on, and it is what it is. Willie Horace, Winston plays through injuries, and yes, we've seen that, especially with the knee injury and the fractured thumb. So yeah, we've definitely seen that from Jameis Winston. And again, it goes back to what I'm saying. I don't. I understand where people are coming from, and people want this team to win. And maybe people aren't happy with his performance. So there's no wrong answer here. It's a safe zone. You can however you view it is how you view it, and I would never be critical of anybody on how they view the quarterback position, especially with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers not winning games like they should. So until some of these issues get fixed, until the Bucs are able to get that running game going, until the Bucs are able to address the offensive line in certain positions, this is just going to be an ongoing conversation, I believe, regardless who's under center. So it's just kind of one of those things there. Getting back to the chat here, so didn't watch Teddy Bridgewater. Winston plays through injuries. I'm actually okay, we talked about that. Franchise Jameis for 1 year. Now, with Jason Light, Bruce Arians kind of joined at the hip and married, why wouldn't you bring back that quarterback, Jameis Winston, and just have everything all together? And if it doesn't work, it just doesn't work, and you start all over? Or, why would you bring in another quarterback, or would you?
Here's the problem with saying that. I don't know why everyone is so fixated on if you bring in a quarterback, it's going to take them forever to figure out how to play football again. You're talking about like veteran all-pro quarterbacks that are going to be available that have been playing quarterback for a long time. And I think it's crazy to think that like these veterans are going to come in here and just like not know what to do and shit the bed. So I don't really understand that argument. But I will say I can definitely see Jameis coming back. But if they do, they will draft someone else. I guarantee you. And I really think what they're doing is they're really trying to wait and see who they can get, with Jameis kind of being the backup plan. And obviously they have to know that before they hit free agency, like who they think they can get to kind of take that risk. But I don't think they're worried about other teams signing Jameis. I mean, have you seen, like, you see reports on the Bucs every single day? Bridgewater yesterday, Tom Brady. Tom Brady's going to be the GM of the Bucs. Everyone, guess what? Tom Brady's the GM if we sign him, and the coach, he's going to control the draft. He's getting all control according to this ESPN reporter. But I think they're just trying to figure out like if they have a chance at him through these reporters, because you can only tamper so much. And I think that they're also looking at Bridgewater. I think Rivers might just already be decided to. It seems like the Colts is going to be the place for him. But here's what I'm trying to get to: where's all the rumors about Jameis Winston and teams jockeying to get Jameis Winston?
I've heard about Carolina. I mean, Carolina is one of the teams that I've seen where,
as a backup,
who would he be going up against?
They have Cam Newton.
No, Cam Newton's on his way out. So,
but he's still on the team. They got to trade him.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, Cam Newton. By the time the season starts, toe comes to leather. Cam Newton will not be a Carolina Panther. You can guarantee that.
Whoa! Hot takes.
No, yeah, it's true. It's just not going to happen. I'll put myself out there and say that. Now, I normally don't get with the hot takes, but that's one of those things. I follow the NFC South a lot, and I'm really actually working on a podcast with some of our NFC South brethren where we can come in once a week and just talk about the state of our team. So that's one of those things that I'm working on for the regular season, that you can kind of get some information about your NFC South rivals and kind of help you get some insight on how things are going. So stay tuned for that. I've got some people lined up.
What's the word in Carolina? Is it like, to me from the outside looking in, it's dumpster fire, but like they've got a new coach, so they're probably pretty hopeful with what's going on. But you got to look at their roster and not be
Yeah.
impressed.
Yeah, and ultimately that's my point. I mean, this is one of those times where Cam Newton has not been able to stay healthy, not been able to stay on the field. I think now would be an ideal time to move on and give him a fresh start. I could see Cam Newton ending up in Chicago, being very honest. I mean, as we're just kind of scoping everything out. So, um,
I 100% think Winston's better than Cam Newton. I think Cam Newton's done. He's been too injured. He can't run anymore. We saw last year he can't throw the ball at all. Remember the first game where we beat Carolina? He couldn't hit anyone. Like about
but that kind of goes back to the surgeries that he's had, and again that takes a little while to heal. As far as you know being able to do that. I mean, I'm not sure what the specific injury was, but just Cam Newton getting back out there and getting back to himself, I think it takes a little bit longer than what we saw. And then the injury that he suffered in the preseason, it was worse than what they let on that it was, and they had to shut him down because it was so bad. So again, it's if he comes back healthy, I just don't see him coming back to Carolina. And I could see him going to I can see him going to Chicago or a team like that, where Trubisky is on the super hot seat, and at any time, he could be benched, and you bring in somebody who can, try to reignite this fan base, try to put butts in the seats, and help that team get some wins.
Yeah, well, I could see all that happening. And that's what's crazy about this offseason is there's just going to be so much movement and more at that quarterback position than I feel like we've ever seen, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. The Buck and Idiots podcast. Well, we are blessed by the Buck and Idiots podcast. Some sooner or later, us little folks, we may end up on his show, but one can only hope and dream. He actually agreed with you. I'm gonna before I get to the Buck and Idiots podcast comments, I do want to get to some of these other listeners. Again, I appreciate everybody in the chat. I want to make sure I get all these questions. If they want a playoff run, let's see, AB go after Tom Brady. It's going to be a challenge. I just don't see AB coming to Tampa. I
Mm-mm.
understand what people are saying, but I just don't see it. I
No.
think I think just based on his actions over the past year, I think he's burned so many bridges. I just don't see him getting another opportunity in the NFL. Now there I could be wrong, but I don't see him coming to Tampa. Um, I really believe that AB, after that Vontaze Burfict hit a couple of years ago, I don't think AB's been right since then. Mentally, or a lot of the things that he does, I just don't think he's been right since then. So
Couple screws loose.
that's just been my take. And if you look at that hit, that was a vicious hit, and it was shortly after that hit that you saw a lot of the things that he was doing that was just out of the ordinary for him. So I just, coming back to what I was saying about Tampa, I just don't see him as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. And Willie Horace is saying the problem is more the offensive line first than the running back game and the quarterback.
Well, aren't I
I,
think
I,
offensive line to me is like one and the same with a running back because a running back can't run anywhere if there's holes. He's got to have
yeah,
holes to run through.
yeah,
So they're one and the same. I thought pass blocking wasn't that bad. There were plenty of times where Jameis had all day to throw. And guess what? I have this argument all the time on Twitter. Playing offensive line in the NFL is really freaking hard. There's
yeah.
probably about 5 teams right now that are happy with their offensive line.
The Colts
So
being one.
if you think that we're going to be there, like that's doubtful. We're always going to have a hole or two in the offensive line like every other team. And you know what? Jameis runs himself into a lot of sacks too, but he also can sling that ball out of the pocket like no one else sometimes.
Yeah,
So,
and
typical
he's
Jameis.
and he's deceptively elusive. Here's a guy that you've got him wrapped up, you got him dead to rights, and Jameis Winston is running for a first down. So, Jameis Winston is a football player. And you can say whatever you want to about him, negative or positive, but I will say this: he is a football player. He plays through injuries. His toughness can never be questioned. It's just sometimes you just like I say this every week. Jameis Winston is a blessing and a curse at the same
Mhm.
time. When he is on his game, I mean, you are so happy to have Jameis Winston as your quarterback because this guy's making throws that I would say 90 to 80% of the league is not making. And then there's those times where he throws in a triple coverage, he throws in a double coverage, or he throws and nobody's even there. And again, with these,
Sorry.
and I have to say this with a caveat. We see that, but we have to keep in mind that sometimes this could be route running by the wide receiver. So I'm not going to put it all on Jameis, but there have been plays where I've just kind of scratched my head. Hey, what's going on? But again, and I've said this, and you guys know as you've been longtime listeners. If you're longtime listeners, I love Jameis Winston. I just, I do. I love what he's been able to come to Tampa and do. And again, if he stays, I'm good if he stays. But if they move on from him, I'm ready to support the next quarterback that comes in.
So where does I got to jump in the chat? Where does everyone think that Jameis is going to end up if he's not on the Bucks? Like, and the reason why I ask is because there's two scenarios to him to go to another team. Scenario one, he gets paid $30 million plus, and he's a starter for a team, which is what he wants. Scenario two, he gets paid half that, and he goes to the bench. So I want to know what teams fit in scenario number one. Who those teams that are dying to give Jameis that big long-term 30 million plus contract. And I'm not trying to be mean to Jameis. I'm not trying to be mean. I just want to understand who is going to offer him that starter money.
That's a good question.
All right,
I like.
I'm getting in the chat. I'm getting
All
in the
right,
chat.
all right, and I'm reading through the chat right now. As Willie Brewer said, agreed. Willie addressed the offensive line. Dub, what's going on? Buccaneer Bruce can't wait for the defense next season. I would like for them to draft Jeremy Chin or Kyle Duggar. Ron Allen, what's up? What's your thoughts on the proposed giving Tom Brady whatever he wants, i.e., money, roster decision? I can't see it happening, but that's just me personally. You're basically betting the farm, and again, I don't know. I wouldn't. Me personally, if I'm a GM, I wouldn't do it. I would take my chances. Dub, I work all day and getting mad texts about TB12. I was getting pretty hyped, no lie. So we'll have to see what's going on. Bucking Idiots podcast, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Gene and Shooter. What's up? This guy is the best. I've had him on, friend of the show. Always welcome on the show. We gotta link up, man. We gotta link up.
Who? Who?
Adam Horn from
Oh.
The Bucking Idiots.
Oh. Hey. Oh,
He,
okay. I got you. I'm in the chat now. I'm in the chat. I see Chargers. I'm seeing Chargers. Okay. I can buy that. I can buy that. And I would like to kind of see that happen actually. But are they going to really gamble and give him $30 million? Because that's allegedly what he wants, right?
right. Well, you got to consider. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater. I think what is the veteran minimum is like 27 million, I believe. The veteran
Is it?
minimum for a quarterback is 27, so it's not that far off. I wouldn't think. I don't know, but again, I'm not a GM, so I don't know. We'll kind of have to see what happens here. Dub says, I think Jameis either goes to Cincy for a lot of money or takes less money and goes to Indy. Indy's got a nice offensive line. Their offensive line is nice, and they've got a running game too. And their defense isn't no slouch. So, man, that would be a nice little setup. Whoever the quarterback is that ends up there, I liked what Jacoby Brissett did while he was there. If he could stay healthy, but at the end of the day, you're not you're not helping your team win if you're on the sideline. So there's that. Brent Mulberry, what's happening from Brent Mulberry and
Oh, Pewtercast.
Pewtercast? Goodness,
Yeah.
I'm
What's up, Brent?
just drawing a blank here.
Oh, thank God you have me on the show as your backup guest. That's great. Good to know I'm number 18 on the list.
No, you're not. You're number 2. And B Dub Dub says, "Oh my God, let him go to Carolina so we can pick him off 4 times a year." Oh, and the hat. Thanks. Will the Brewer. Cam can go to Cincy and play tight end. I don't think he can take those hits, man. I think his body is beyond that. I really don't think he can stand up to that punishment.
He can't play quarterback either. Yeah. Keep him on the Panthers, please.
Shooter makes a great point. If Jameis is on the way out, why are all the things so quiet in camp Jameis? Why isn't his agent vocally defending the criticism coming from Arians and Light?
Yeah, well, I mean, all I was saying was that if you look at all these rumors, like you see different rumors about the Bucs quarterback situation every day. You see different rumors about where Phillip Rivers is going to go, where Bridgewater is going to go, and it doesn't matter if it's the Bucs or a different team that's involved. The Raiders are in on all these teams too, or these quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. The one thing I don't see is anyone linked to Jameis Winston, and I don't know if that's a good strategy for his agent. You think you want to put those stories out there and get some demand, but you see the Bucs from the get-go, the last game of the season, which ended horribly for Jameis, kind of start playing the negotiation game. The Bucs don't want to pay Jameis. They don't want to overpay Jameis.
Right.
But I think his ticket to coming back is that franchise tag. And I'm fine with that. I'd love to see the franchise tag. Let's give him some games and draft a quarterback. That's the key there, drafting a quarterback and franchising Jameis, because that quarterback that we draft is most likely going to be starting by week 5 or 6.
Wow.
Hold on. Is he not going to be playing by week 5 or 6 if we see the same Jameis that we saw last year?
Jameis is who Jameis is, and I'm not. This is not a cop out. I swear to you, it's not a cop out.
No, he's never had 30 interceptions. You said it yourself.
That's an anomaly right there. I just believe that Jameis is going to be Jameis. That's who you have, is a guy that he's trying to get the ball into places that sometimes he really shouldn't. You should kind of go a different direction. But again, I think you're going to see a lot less interceptions. I mean, when you set the ceiling that high, it's easy to come in the next year and not have that many interceptions. He's got a year in this system under his belt, and again, that's just one of those things. I know that he's going to throw interceptions, but not to that magnitude. And I don't know. It's just kind of the way I see it.
Well, let me tell you, we're known over at Shooter and Stash for some of our investigative work. I don't know if you know that, but we've won some investigative journalism awards from various websites in Eastern Europe.
Wow.
But I know a lot of people don't know that.
And Africa.
We actually recently debunked Sign Guy, which hangs out at Tampa Bay Lightning games recently. He's a fraud. He's a fraud.
No, really? No.
Yeah. Well, he was ripped off of the real Sign Guy, which is a real guy who's on Instagram and all over the place. But I still like what they're doing over there. I still like anything the Tampa Bay Lightning are doing.
Yeah,
it's
I'm good with that.
Though. Yeah. So anyway, I'm just giving you an example, a little credibility to my investigative reporting. I used to watch a lot of unsolved mysteries when I was a kid. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
All right. So what I looked at the first year of Bruce Arians and Carson Palmer, and it does look very similar to the Jameis Winston BA first year. It's ugly. It wasn't as ugly. But the Cardinals arguably had a better team around Carson, right? So here's what happened though. After week 10, you've got 6 games left, right? So I looked at those 6 games, and I'll try to retweet it later tonight. I looked at those 6 games and looked at Jameis and I looked at Carson Palmer, and it was night and day. Jameis, multiple interceptions in multiple games compared to Palmer, who showed improvement. He had one, and somebody called me out for it. He had one bad game. He had 4 interceptions the second to last game. 2 of them were by Richard Sherman in his prime, Richard Sherman.
Right.
And against Seattle in the lead. I think that must have been Legion of Boom days, right?
You would have had to been.
I think that had a big factor on the decisions that are going on at One Buck Place right now, because you didn't see the steps in the right direction, and he had those chances. And I know you can give me the excuse of the injuries and all this, but if you're that injured, you're still out there on the field. When he did injure his thumb, I know his leg was hurt too. When he injured his thumb, he basically came back in that game and had the best half of football, arguably all season, besides that Rams game. So how bad was the thumb? Because the game he got injured, he had a hell of a game after that.
If I fracture my thumb, I'm not be able to pick up a beer, and that's a
I'm
problem.
not either. Nobody's questioning Jameis Winston's toughness. By the way, Tom Brady's barely missed any games in 20 years, right?
Yeah.
So they're football players. They're all pretty freaking tough, and none of them want to come off the field.
Right.
So I give Jameis all the credit in the world for the beating he's taken here. In my view, I always move on from things fast. I'm like my 5th wife. I get a puppy and
bro, don't let her date. Don't let the missus hear you saying that, man.
I move on fast.
Yeah,
I move on fast. If you can't get the job done, then I kind of get over it. So that's how I feel, and for me, it's been 5 years, and if she's not taking good care of you in 5 years, it's time to move on.
Well, shoots, and this is kind of where we're differing here. I like I said, I'm kind of indifferent. I'm at a point right now because the whole Jameis Winston back and forth, it's kind of like politics, and I freaking hate politics to begin with. But if Jameis Winston is here, that means that they've looked at enough film, they've decided this is the guy they want to run with and see what he can do. But if they feel like there's a viable option out there, they're going to go with that. As fans, because we have no say-so basically in who gets brought in or who leaves Tampa, we just kind of have to deal with it. So I've kind of resigned myself to, whatever they do is what they're going to do. And that's kind of where I'm at with all this. But again, as I mentioned, I like Jameis. I like what he can do when he's on. When Jameis is on, there's not too many other quarterbacks that I'm like, man, I would risk it with this guy when he's on, but when he's off, he reminds you, geez, this is why I drink as much as I do. So that's kind of where I'm at with him.
The thing that really killed me was all like the first possession interception.
Oh yeah, absolutely. and that was me. And again, I kind of alluded to this earlier, just because I listened to Michael Clayton's podcast, and I listened to what he was saying. And he was talking about some of the routes that were being run. And yeah, they may have run the route, but did they run the route correctly? Or did they go as far as they needed to? Or did they cut off the routes? And those are things that, I'm still educating myself on as far as game film study. Just to be able to say, hey, he did run that route all the way out to the 20-yard line like he was supposed to. He did run this drag route. He did run that fade. He did run that curl correctly. He talked about where you need to be. Timing is everything, because when Jameis is on, he's throwing people open. He's putting the ball where they need to be when the ball gets there, and that's when he's successful. So again, that's something I personally am going to have to take a step back and reevaluate some of these interceptions myself, and just get a little bit more comfortable with what I'm saying. So because when I think 30 interceptions, I'm like, wow, that's horrible. But we can't say that they were all on him. So.
Oh no, but you can't say that about any quarterback.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I want to be 100% objective about this, and not appear like, I'm either bashing him or I'm against him. I would like to be able to give a balanced answer here.
Such a politician.
Me?
Such a politician.
No. I think
You should rename this page like the court of not the court like
but
I
you
don't
got to
know,
be fair
Buccaneer
about it. But
Senate.
you have to be fair and objective about this kind of thing. Willie Horace was saying this is my issue. BA was back. He was backing Jameis at the beginning. Then and then you tell him to throw the ball, but he doesn't turn the ball over. Uh, then you're saying you have other choices at quarterback. Again, as a professional football organization, you have to look at all your options and make sure that this is the option that you're making if you're not 100% sure with where you are right now. So I get it. And again, like I said, it just we'll kind of see here in a couple of days where things are going to go. Willie Horace says Jameis with the Chargers, better offensive line, and the defense is already in place. Yeah, with Bosa and Derwin James and players like that on that defense. Yeah, they're definitely prime and in a position.
I like
Uh,
the Chargers match. I like that match with Jameis, but Jameis is kind of like young Phillip Rivers, so I guess maybe that's what they need. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. And then Willie Horace was saying they also said the Steelers could bring him in as a backup to Big Ben, and that's
He'll be
possible.
he'll be back here before he's a backup.
Yeah. He goes up. He goes to Chicago, and the fan base will lose their mind when he starts messing up. And that's from Dub. Same with Pittsburgh. Will the Brewer? Yep. High highs and low lows with Winston. Not all on him, but that favors. But that favors in all quarterbacks. No one else is close to 30 picks. That's correct, man. Like I said, man, I think that's an anomaly. I don't think that's the norm. Buccaneers podcast, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Pittsburgh. Ryan Roddy says Chicago, and again, I could see him in Chicago because Trubisky is on the super hot seat, and it's just a matter of time. It's not a matter of if, but it's a matter of when with Trubisky. I think Tampa helped him to get a little bit more time. That Tampa Bay Buccaneers game where he broke out, they really believe that that's what they were getting from Trubisky. And I think that's just one of those games where Tampa's defense was just that bad and the offense was playing like they were and there weren't any adjustments made. So it made him look good. But ultimately, I think that eventually Chicago will move on, and once they get the correct quarterback, I think it could be this season with a lot of the record number of quarterbacks out here. I think somebody ends up in Chicago, competes with Trubisky, and beats him out.
I'm looking at an article from Sports Illustrated by it's like the Steelers section,
Uh-huh.
and it is this whole article about written yesterday about how Jameis Winston is not the best fit for the Steelers. The
Wow.
Steelers they don't want Jameis
No, no,
Winston.
I think that they would have hit the draft. This is the organization with an underrated general manager. Uh, I just like that's kind of like the Saints. I mean, just the moves that they make, they're sound moves, and it doesn't put the team in a bad position. Dub says I'm going with the Chargers. Buccaneer Bruce says the Chargers. So a lot of people answering your questions are saying the Chargers. It looks like Cincinnati may throw some big money at him. Willie Horace is saying the Chargers would be the move. Seaborn, 28 million in the Chargers. And Buccaneers podcast, Buccan Idiots podcast. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I said Pittsburgh before you said starter money.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
Pittsburgh couldn't pay him starter money unless they're going to get rid of Big Ben. They have
yeah,
no money.
and that's not going to happen. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the NFL Players Association would never allow an active player to have power to make roster moves, according.
Yeah, but Tom Brady's not just an active player. He is the face of the NFL. No, you're right. I don't think that's possible. But like, it doesn't have to be official. He can come in and give a little wink, wink, nod, nod. I'm in charge
Yeah.
here. But I don't know. That was such a weird report that came out. Like that was today, right? The whole Brady's getting the whole
Yeah,
franchise.
I heard that, and I don't know.
He's
yeah, I just okay.
give him the keys to Raymond James. I mean, basically, that's the Bucks getting that info out there to try to figure out if they have a shot at him. Like that's what they're
Yeah,
trying to figure out right now because they have to franchise Jameis before all this happens. I
yeah.
think like I know they did push that franchise date back, I guess, because it was supposed
Yeah,
to be this week.
and I heard something really interesting. And guys, I want to kind of step in just for a second. Let me know if my mic. Thank you for letting me know the mic is cutting in and out. I can't hear it. I'm like in my headset. I'm not hearing it. But if you guys are having, if I'm having issues with my audio, please let me know, and I'll make sure to kind of clean that up. Um, but kind of getting back to what you're saying. I mean, what do you do? What I don't even know what the right answer is. All I know is I want to see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the playoffs. I want to see them win some games in the playoffs. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I am sick and tired of talking about draft picks after the season's over. I would rather be talking about who the Bucks are playing in the postseason. Uh, this is just ridiculous. The Bucks are just getting out of all these many years of mismanagement, missed draft picks, some of your missed free agent moves, a lot of missed free agent moves, and just drafting or bringing in people and drafting people that don't fit into your scheme or your system. And then you couple that with all the different coaching changes that you've seen, and then you have to look at some of the moves that were made where they're not addressing key positions, a la the trenches. And it's frustrating to look at this, man. And you want them to fix it, and that's kind of where I'm at. Is I'm hoping that these are things that do get fixed.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just tired of losing. And I have just come to identify like Jameis with losing at this point. So to me, it's like, let's move on. At first, it was Gerald McCoy was the problem. Now it's Jameis is the problem. And maybe everyone was the problem. Maybe we just need to shut the door on the uh, post Super Bowl era or the what do we call the I guess old jerseys now? They are the non-playoff jerseys, right?
Yeah, and well, since we're talking about jerseys,
That whole no, I'm just saying it's time to put that whole era to rest.
mhm,
And maybe that's with a new quarterback. Even if we bring back Jameis, like I said, I think he's going to get benched halfway through the season. I think you're going to see a rookie come in. We forget, not this past season, but the season before, Jameis got benched. He got his job back first, but then he got benched for Fitzpatrick again. And Fitzpatrick at that point decided he couldn't do his magic anymore
yeah,
anyway. So Jameis got back in. So I don't know, man. We've seen the guy get benched. We've seen no one behind him to really give him competition this year, or else I
mhm,
think he would have been pulled a couple times.
yeah,
We'll see what happens. Like there's a high chance he'll be back, but I think he's going to have someone behind him. And I don't know. My thing has always been Jameis is not good under pressure. I don't remember. I mean, first of all, I don't remember very many primetime games in the
mhm,
last 5 years, but I certainly don't remember Jameis Winston going out and lighting anyone up on prime time, right? So I feel like he just can't handle the moment at times, whether it's, that first drive of the game to the last drive of the season. You can't make these mistakes over and over in your fifth year of being a pro quarterback.
yeah. Honestly, I'm going to disagree with you on this. I've seen plays where they are in Jameis's face, and he makes this clutch throw, and
Well, hold on. I'm not talking about pressure from the defensive line. I'm talking about pressure in between his ears.
and
And
that right there again, he gets his. I think sometimes his emotions get the best of him. He gets too hyped up, and he has to calm down, and that's been Jameis since he's been here. And then there are times where he comes in, he plays cool, and he looks good. But as far as him, Jameis Winston, I honestly believe that sometimes his emotions get the better of him at times. But I I don't know as far as pressure. I couldn't say that it's a pressure issue personally. I think it's more he gets in his emotions get the best of him, and that's what you see. There are times where he wants to put the whole team on his shoulders, and he wants to win the game. He wants to put the ball where he thinks it needs to go, and sometimes there are those ill-advised decisions. But as far as him and pressure, uh, I'm going to disagree with you on that one.
You can disagree, but I mean, when it comes down to crunch time and we need to win a game, we're still sitting here not close to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just saying what I'm seeing
Yeah,
out there, and it's
and you know
quarterback
what?
that can't handle that
Again,
spotlight.
and again, I appreciate that because I like it when people disagree with me. It makes for good conversation, to be honest. But just kind of going back to what I was saying, just watching him, I think a lot of this has to do with more with emotion than him not being able to handle pressure.
Yeah, maybe. All I know is the decision making is just not where it needs to be. So
Yeah. All
we'll
right.
figure it out. We'll
Yeah,
figure it out. We'll
and
get
again,
him back in here, or we get someone else. Either
yeah.
way, we're gonna move on. We're gonna have some sweet new orange jerseys, and we're gonna be set next year. And at least we're gonna have new gear. Yeah.
Hey, you're getting Chris Godwin back healthy, and you're getting Mike Evans back healthy, and it's going to be interesting to see who that number 3 quarterback is going to be. So, I mean, I can tell you right now, and we can look back on this. Ronald Jones, I'm looking forward to seeing what he does. Shaq Barrett, and this is my order of players that I can't wait to see, and I'm going to go hot take here. I think Shaq Barrett is back as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer for 2020. So I'm not stressing about what's going on with contract talks or anything like that. You have a guy that wants to be in Tampa. You have a guy that you can get him signed. You're going to make that happen. So I'm not really stressing about that. I don't even think he makes it to the market. I think the Buccaneers get him re-signed. So for me,
Shocking. You think that?
so for me,
Here's a
it's going to be Ronald Jones. Shaq Barrett is going to be the second person I cannot wait to see. I want to see what they do. Devin White, and then number 4 on my top 4 is going to be Jameis Winston if he's back, to see how much they improve or if they improve from the season before.
Here's a fun game to play. Go back into my Twitter timeline. Go back to August, and you're going to see a series of tweets of me attending Buccaneers training camp. And in that series of tweets, you're going to see me mention multiple Jameis Winston interceptions.
Were you carrying a stick at that time?
No.
Okay. I just thought I would ask.
No. I had my phone. But I did have my phone and I was tweeting. And against the Dolphins, really, really bad defense, especially at the beginning of the season. It was so ugly. It was just a joint practice with the Dolphins, and like there were so many interceptions. Gabbert looked so much better, but I guess you got to say that a lot of that was because Gabbert's known this system and Jameis was learning it. But that all carried over to the regular season.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about here. So that could happen there. Let's see.
But yeah, I'm excited to see what'll happen. I think we're going to be a better team no matter what next year.
Let me say this, and maybe I'm wrong here, but when you're playing in the preseason, when you're playing in camp, you're trying throws that you normally wouldn't try during the regular season or during a regular game.
So what happened with Jameis?
Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean, when you're talking about August, I would be trying all that stuff. I would just see what works. That's just what I would do.
Well, it didn't work.
And so yeah, exactly. But again, like you said, we'll wait and see what happens. Did I change my channel name? Let me take a look and see. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he did. This is basically Buccaneers politics.
Yeah, Buccaneers politics. There you go.
That's what we call it.
And Will the Brewer says, so Ryan Griffin isn't the answer. I really believe you have to. any chance you get to upgrade, you have to upgrade in all these positions too. You want the best players on the field. Your 53-man roster, you want to say that you've got the best of the best out there that you could possibly get. You don't want a guy out there just because he's out there. So again, it's just one of those things here. Sean Castillo, what's going on? If you're trying this shit, your goal is get interceptions. More defenses are trying to. You have more probability of throwing an interception. It's showing your name, not Buc What You Heard. Just an FYI. Oh, okay. Thank you for that. I'll check that out and see if I can get that corrected. So, ultimately, guys, what it all comes down to right now, and I'm going to try to wrap this up because we've been on here for an hour. Once again, I'm on here with Shooty Shoots of Shooter in the Stash with the Tampa Bay Lightning podcast. If you get a chance to check it out, if you're a hockey fan, which I know that Bucks fans, a lot of Bucks fans are hockey fans, get a chance to check him out. They do a great job with covering the Lightning. As I say, he's a friend of the show. I enjoy having him on. Thank you for, stepping on with me here.
Yeah, thanks for letting me be your fifth guest in line here. It was good to be the backup of the backup of the backup of the backup. No, it's okay. It's okay. It's fine.
You know what? You're number one in my book.
Wait till you see our next investigative piece about
kickers.
Yes, about the kicking situation.
Yeah, the kicking
situation.
I
think the kicking situation is actually pretty good. I think Matt Gay is going to have a good year.
To be honest, I wish that the NFL would just adopt the XFL's whole kicking scenario and just move on from it. I would love to see that a little bit more than what we're seeing, and I think it would make for some interesting games. Hopefully, the XFL has made enough innovations to where the Bucks, I have the Bucks on the brain, so where the NFL will rethink some of these things, because I love the kickoff scenario. I think it's a lot safer. As far as going for 1, 2, or 3, I think that would, you have a team of elite players and you have an option to go for 1, 2, or 3. That makes the game, that totally is a game changer right there. And there's no such thing as a game that's out of reach. So, me personally, I think that would be kind of cool to see some of your elite players out there doing that kind of thing. So let's see. Ron Allen says that the kicker made this kick in the 2 games that cost the team victories, that blown call versus the Titans is made the Bucks clinch the wild card. Wouldn't even be having this Jameis discussion.
Woulda, shoulda, coulda. Maybe if he didn't throw a pick like 6 games the first drive, maybe we would be 12-4. I don't know. You can't. I mean, you could say a lot of woulda, coulda stuff, right?
Again, that's what I love about this show. It's a safe zone. There's no wrong answers here. When the Bucks start winning, and winning covers a multitude of sins, I believe these are conversations that won't even be here. But just because the Bucks have just not been winning for so long, it's just kind of been what it's been. But anyway, folks, Shoots, thanks a lot for coming on. I appreciate you, man. I'm going to have Michael Pless on next week from Real Bucks Talk. Wow.
Fifth guest in line.
No, you're number one, man. You are actually on with me, and I appreciate that.
All right. I won't flip you the bird, but I will say something probably pretty rude to you on Twitter later.
Yeah, I hope so, man, because, that just lets me know that you do care. Let's see. Thanks for the info, guys. Stay healthy. We just had our Southside Irish Parade in Chicago canceled this weekend. Yeah, man. It's crazy, just with this whole virus. I want everybody to know that. I want everybody to know that, I appreciate you taking time to come on. Please be safe. Keep your family safe. Make sure you're washing your hands and on a regular basis. if anything, just taking every precaution to keep yourself safe and not having to deal with this awful virus that's out here that's pretty much crippling the world. And hopefully that, at some point, these are things that will be fixed. But I am looking at, I'm thinking about you guys, and I do appreciate you, taking the time to come on.
Yeah, this is crazy. I was supposed to be out of town today. I was supposed to be out of town 3 weeks this month. My whole March was going to be all freaking
Travel.
crazy. Yeah. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying here. I was out of town like 2 weeks ago, but now I have no travel scheduled. Everything I was supposed to go to is canceled. NBA's not canceled, but postponed. NHL is going to be next. Hopefully, they'll be able to still have the draft, a live draft towards the end of April. But we got to start thinking about what's important, and that's going to be, taking care of all these sick people and trying to get
Yeah.
rid of this thing, because I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. But I
Yeah.
think the thing to remember is it's going to spread in the U.S. In the next couple weeks, but it's not that much more worse than the flu. So take care of like your parents or your grandparents. Make sure that they're somewhere
Yeah, those
safe.
are the people that we really need to be looking out for, to be honest.
Yeah, and if you can, stay at home. But we all got jobs. We all got to make that money,
That's
that
right.
paper.
Yeah,
So it's
and
tough.
but you got to consider the people that don't have insurance. I mean, that's a scary thought as well. So, my
Yeah.
my thoughts and prayers are out there for those people as well.
And also, for the people that work in healthcare, man, holy cow, like
Yeah,
they can't stay home, they can't take off, like they have to be there and they have to be around this virus.
yeah,
So they never get a shout out,
yeah.
the healthcare people never really get much props for anything, really, even though they do a pretty crappy job when you think about it. They got to deal with angry people at a
Yeah.
hospital or sick people. Like the people that are sick are not happy.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
grumpy
My
people.
my missus, she works at the children's hospital, so she's in the line of fire every day. So hopefully we can, again, your thoughts go out to those people that are out there doing
Well, I guess we share something in common. Uh, Women that know how to take care of us,
that.
because
Hey,
they
but
work
I
in
but I do all
hospitals.
the cooking, so there is that. I do the cooking.
No, yeah, well, we got to.
Yeah,
They slap on the band-aids. We do the cooking.
there you go. Well, guys, thank you so much for checking us out. And again, I appreciate everybody's information in the chat, everybody getting their thing out there. Plus, we'll be back next week. I was going to have another guest on, had technical difficulties. My guy here, Shooty, came off the bench and played phenomenal, so I appreciate him. But that's pretty much it for us, and I'm out. And you guys be safe and have a great rest of your week.